such a time as this.
And welcome back to For Such a Time as This, the place where there is no such thing as a silent witness. It is amazing to me to read the scriptures. It's even more amazing to see the scriptures played out on a national news. The couple in St. Louis who was caught on video having the nerve to defend their homes against roving bands of thugs. They had the nerve to come out with firearms to defend their homes. Made national news. What's even more amazing is that the gentleman, I think his name is McCluskey, Mr. McCluskey went on CNN on the Chris Cuomo show. I don't even know what the name of his show is. Don't watch him unless crazy videos like he did come out. So, without further ado, it's so many clips. It's 8 of them. I've broken it up into 2 different videos because I try to keep it under a certain amount. There's 8 clips. This one is going to be the first 4 clips. The next one is going to be the next 4 clips, but I couldn't cut it out. It's so amazing to see depravity in practice. So without further ado, let's see how Mr. Cuomo welcomes his guests.
Now joined by Mark McCloskey. He is the St. Louis homeowner we told you about in that video that's all over social media. He and his wife holding guns, keeping protesters away, in their opinion, from their home on a private street.
Keeping protests away, in their opinion. As though you can come to a second opinion. As though the video you see ain't really what happened. In their opinion, they will have firearms, keeping the thugs away. Mr. Cuomo continues.
Counselor and Mr. McCloskey / counselor, we can talk about the legal rights and the facts. But I want to talk about not having a right, but whether or not something is right first, which is, how do you feel about becoming the face of political resistance to the Black Lives Matter movement?
First of all, that's a completely ridiculous statement.
How do you feel like becoming the face of resistance? I.e., how do you feel like becoming the face of white privilege? Is this an interview or an interrogation? Mr. Cuomo. And let me just put it out there. Mr. McCluskey is not a conservative. He's a liberal, and you'll see it in part 2. He tries to suck up to his liberal pals, but buddy, one thing you have to learn is that once the liberal mob turns on you, there's no appeasing them. There's no appeasing them. There's no appeasing. Unless total acquiescence, the only way to appease them is do like Drew Brees did. Apologize 10 times a day and say, I'm wrong, I'm part of the problem. What I gotta do to appease you guys? Total acquiescence, total surrender. In this case, in order to appease the liberal mob, you must give up your home. You must allow your wife to be assaulted. You must give up all pretenses of having the right to defend your property, Mr. Cuomo goes on. Look at him.
I didn't take the time to see their birth certificates or anything else. I was defending my house, my life, my wife, and what I've spent 32 years building there. I
understand what you say your rationale was. To be clear, did anything happen to you or your property?
Did anything happen? Yeah, my life has been ruined. I'm a target.
We'll get to that, Mr. McCloskey. I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm saying that night, did anything happen to you, your family, or your property?
Yeah, it's called social intimidation. It's called terrorism. Chris, what's the definition of terrorism? To use violence and intimidation to frighten the public. That's what was happening that night. It's what happened to me, and that's the damage I suffered.
You were the one pointing a loaded weapon at a group of people who were walking past looking for the mayor's house as a point of protest.
No, you don't understand. You were the one holding a loaded weapon, pointing it at these peaceful protesters. I meant to start off with this. Let me just set the scene. Let me just explain things to you. Let's say the incident happened where someone broke into my house. They're in my house at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I go downstairs because I hear them, and they're rummaging through my living room trying to see what they can steal. And I do what I'm supposed to do. I put lead in them. The police comes, and he goes to a hospital because that's what he's going to need when the .357 Magnum goes off on him. He goes to the hospital, and then I got to go to, go to court or whatever, and now I got to explain why I did what I did. Now, in the Socialist Republic, in the People's Socialist Republic of Illinois, what I'm going to say makes sense to us because of the crazy state we live in. But in everyone else, every other state of the union, it makes no sense why I have to defend my actions when the dude broke in my house at 3 o'clock in the morning. But you see, in Illinois, even if someone breaks in your house, you have to explain why you shot him. And I'm not joking. The fact that they broke into my house at 3 o'clock in the morning is not enough for me to shoot them. I have to prove that they were charging me in my house at 3 o'clock in the morning. Everywhere else, the fact that you broke into the house at 3 o'clock in the morning, enough said. Mr. Cuomo, they broke an iron gate to get into his private property. And now you are somehow finding fault with this man that he was standing on his property with his loaded gun pointed at a mob after everything that was going on in St. Louis. They've been looting, they've been burning, they killed the ex-police chief, and somehow Mr. McCloskey has to defend his actions after they broke into his neighborhood, his private neighborhood. This makes no sense because you see the crowd, they were going on a peaceful protest to the mayor's house, to which if you see the video, it's going to be in the description. If you see the video, his attorney, Mr. McCloskey's attorney, tries to answer Mr. Cuomo, and Mr. McCloskey says, no, you sit down. I'll take this. Look at the answer.
Chris, that's an entirely false concept. No single media outlet has ever mentioned the complete falsity of that statement. The mayor's house cannot be reached through my neighborhood. Lyda Cruson lives up on a road called Lake and Washington. That's 3 blocks north and a half a mile west of my house.
So where do you think they were going?
The man just proved a great big falsehood. The falsehood is they were peacefully protesting on the way to the mayor's house, peacefully protesting. Mr. McCloskey said, that's a flat out lie. You can't even get to the mayor's house through my neighborhood. And does Chris Cuomo say, oh, well, wow, that was misreported. No, that's not what he does. Well, where do you think they were going? No apology, no reason. No, where do you think they were going? This is depravity in action. There's no desire for truth. There's no desire to reason. No, everyone must bow to the insanity that is ensuing in our country and to dare question it, to dare defend your house. is not allowed. As I said before, last video, he should have pulled the trigger.
For such a time as this,